for now, the important thing was just to see if we could get the initial declaration, which authorizes those powers and authority, and we'll be following up within 2 days at the next council meeting.
Thank you. There's no other public comment in the audience. We will move to the phone lines and see if there would anybody like to make a comment. If you'd like to make a comment, just please state your name.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Hilda.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, City Attorney.
I just wanted to let you know, for some reason I couldn't see, there were some problems initially, but I did listen to the entire presentation, and it was all accurate. I think it's actually risen already since this morning as far as the numbers in the Fresno County. But I think this is basically the next step so that the city does have some abilities to do things and take actions locally. A lot of the heavy lifting has been taken by the federal government, by the state government, and the county. But it's also important for the city to declare a local emergency so that it can have certain powers in the event those powers are needed.
Thank you, Hilda. Is there anybody else on the line that would like to comment? Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Marissa. I am the manager of the local GameStop here in Sanger.
Okay, hello. Go ahead.
Hi. So we are currently following all of our state guidelines as far as minimizing people in the store. Should we be on the lookout as far as being forced to close early or anything like that, we are 100% following all guidelines set by the president and the governor at the moment.
Go ahead and expand on that, City Manager.
So consistent with what the caller indicated, we are also following the guidance and guidelines from both the federal level and state level, from President Trump's office to Governor Newsom's office. At this point, there is no order to shut down a business like GameStop. There has been some recommendations to limit contact in other businesses like restaurants and bars, but even that recommendation is not specifically or explicitly an executive order. So in following the guidance, we haven't taken those additional steps. It could be that after this declaration, again, where the city has local authority, there may be merit in reviewing those as well. But at this point, something like GameStop would not be affected. But that being said, moving forward, this thing is changing pretty rapidly. But we continue to follow the guidance, and if necessary, we'll take appropriate steps.
Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, you bet. Hang in there, GameStop. Okay, is anybody else on the line?
I'm sorry, can I understand more? Can I still go up and speak?
Yeah, sure, come on.
Okay, yeah, I know you'll stop me if I'm out of line here. But I don't see a necessity to have meetings here because of this emergency situation that we have, like city council meetings. I don't see the necessary to have that. I think we could suspend everything for at least a month. I mean, there's nothing crucial, no life situations here where it has to be done now. And as far as the conference calls, I don't really appreciate the conference calls because the reason why is that we don't really know if these people are from Sanger or not. Especially if there's an issue that's coming up that may enhance something that you guys want.
Okay, but you know what, we're just looking at doing this proclamation for
Yeah.
the existence of a local emergency.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to
You know
make sure.
what, we are still gonna have a council meeting on Thursday, and you could come then and voice your
Well, in
opinion.
here?
And- Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were,
Yep.
okay, that's fine.
Is there any public comment? The public comment section is now closed. We'll move to the council. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, just a quick comment along with the question. It pertains to the question that Ms. Sen mentioned as far as assisting residents with their power shut off or water shut off. You had mentioned that if this is all dynamic, I mean, everything changes the next one day to another. It's crucial that we had this emergency meeting today to declare this local emergency in Sanger. That being said, it appears that you had mentioned, City Manager, that this Thursday, there's gonna be an item to talk about imperative situations that Ms. Sen talked about with people getting the water cut off. Is that correct? There will be an item on the agenda on Thursday, take into account this extreme situation we're in, so it's imperative that we talk about it then. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've amended the city council meeting agenda for Thursday to include an item that would provide an opportunity to bring some of those items forward. That is one forum, one manner in which we're gonna be bringing those items forward. The declaration also provides authority directly for changes to be made. So it could be that in between council meetings, there's gonna be some additional changes that are gonna be made in response to this rapidly moving emergency event we have. But I can say that one of the items that was brought up is gonna be addressed at the Thursday meeting.
Okay, so that's certainly something that shouldn't be 30 days, I would assume.
No,
Get
it's-
this stuff done.
We're gonna be addressing that one on Thursday.
All right, I appreciate staff's work and all the overtime you guys put in to prepare this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah,
Councilman Ontiveros?
I agree with Mr. Chapa when he said there's policies put in place that could be questioned because they're put in place for that reason. I do believe we're in a time where he needs the authority to go over and above. And with that, I believe we're in this position to offer a check and balance to the residents. I think 60 days is too long because he does get extraordinary powers with this ordinance. To the citizens' question, the way I read it, and it would have been nice if we could have got the verbiage that went to, if you look here under chapter 26, article 1, it will explain all the powers that the city manager will have. I don't believe it's his volition to do any unjust with those powers. I support him wholeheartedly, but I do believe it's our job as a council to ensure the citizens that we are the check and balance system. So I think we should revisit this. I think it should be in the verbiage here. We should revisit this every 30 days, and in the verbiage, it should say, or when the county ends the emergency, whichever is sooner. I would like to see that added. It's a check and balance system. Nothing further, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Did the governor explain why he provided a waiver to that 60-day renewal of the declaration?
You know, it was one of the 3 or 4 executive orders that he's made over the last week. And I don't have direct insight into the flexibility that he's provided, but I think the overall intent was to just make it easier for local jurisdictions to be responsive to a situation like we have today. Even the ability to do this teleconferencing with some of the restrictions removed, again, allows us to maintain the idea of social distancing and participation at the same time. But in general, I just think it's based on trying to make it as easy as possible, as flexible as possible for local agencies to have to deal with the problems they're gonna have to deal with.
Thank you.
Council Member Hurtado?
No comments or, no comments at the moment.
Well, it's, you know, I'm reading here that the council reviewed the need for continuing local emergency at least once every 60 days. I know that the governor has put in here that it should be waived, but I think we should still meet every 60 days to review this again.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I don't think it should just be totally waived.
Do you think we can add, or when the county ends the emergency, whichever is sooner?
I kind of hesitate on that because our situation might be different than the county itself. We may still have a localized emergency in Sanger, and the county may say,
Then we continue it, sir.
yeah, but I don't think they should be linked. I think they're two separate issues. But if you want to review this every 60 days,
Yeah.
for the purposes of passing this out, I'll definitely agree to that. But as far as linking it to the county's declaration, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I want Sanger to, we're our own deal. I don't want to be tied to anybody else.
You have that option every 60 days.
Yeah, so if,
Then you would be taking the governor's ordinance and throwing it out the door by saying that statement that you just said.
so in essence, if the county does declare, okay, there's no more emergency, we could just meet again and say, okay, ours is off too. I mean, we don't have to wait till the 60 days.
Right, that's what I'm saying, whichever is sooner should be in there. It's a typical verbiage. It's not gonna hurt. The council is in charge for 60 days, it's not gonna get visited.
And Mayor, if I may
Go ahead.
comment. City Attorney, are you still on the line?
I am.
Okay, so on page 2 of the resolution, the proclamations 1, 2, and 3 are addressing this issue regarding the 60 days and the 60-day limitation or requirement. So section 1 basically says that there's a typical requirement that it be reviewed at least once every 60 days. Again, that's what the governor has waived, saying get a little bit more flexibility to cities so they don't have to go through that process. The second bullet says that if the local emergency declaration, Sanger's declaration, goes beyond the statewide declaration, then staff have to bring back the item to council for review as to the need for continuing it. So one of the triggers is already in there, but it's based on the statewide declaration. It sounds like the discussion has been, well, what if the county terminates their declaration and there's a sense of maybe, okay, then staff needs to come back. City Attorney, do you think it would be appropriate to modify section 2 to identify that if the local emergency extends for more than either the statewide or the county declaration, the staff are directed to come back? Would that be an appropriate modification that might address some of the concerns?
If the council majority wishes to modify the language to say that the local emergency will only be extended as long as the state or county emergency proclamations are in effect, that would be fine.
So you already have that trigger in there, but the trigger is right now based on the statewide declaration. If your concern is, okay, let's do it either or based on the state or the county, then at that point where this is amended, then we would come back specifically with that. And from my perspective, again, it could be that we're consistent with state and county need to, the ability to terminate the declaration, or there might be a local issue still. I mean, we still have a local ability to do this, but we're bringing it back at the time, and the merits of continuing or terminating Sanger's declaration could be addressed at that time. If you're okay with that type of amendment, including the county language in there as well.
So the amendment to the language would be what now?
So section 2,
Uh-huh.
first sentence ends with statewide, and at that point, right after that, the amendment would be statewide or county emergency. So we would add in 2 words, or county. That means that if either of those 2 terminate, then staff has to bring back the local emergency declaration.
It's acceptable with me.
Yeah, I think I like that too. So we'll just, was there any other discussion from the council?
No, I agree.
Okay, so in regards to item D1 with the inclusion of adding county in there and to bring it back to council, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.